My name is Karabalons, and I'm glad to be with you all the way through to 7 o'clock this evening, as we always do on this day. Every Wednesday, we do a Department of Transport broadcast, which I'm looking forward to, really. And joining me in the studio to be facilitating or going ahead with this broadcast is my special guest, and he's the acting DDG, handling issues that's got to do with road transport. Coming from the Department of Transport is Mr. Prasanth Mohan, right? I'm saying it right, Prasanth?
Good evening, Karabu and your listeners. Yes, it's correct, Prasant.
Thank you so much for your time, really. All right, I would like you to be part of the show, and you know the best way to do that is to give us a call on our toll-free number. And this time around, we're going to be using the one that we use in Cape Town. It is 0800 314 446. That's 0800 314 446. Like I said, it's a toll-free number from our Cape Town studios. So thank you so much to my producer, Mfundo Makaba, handling things from their side. I really appreciate it, and hopefully sound is absolutely awesome. All right, let's not waste any further time. I'm pretty excited again about this broadcast, and I'll tell you why, because we're going to be talking about issues that's got to do with road transport. There's so much. In fact, I spent almost about 30 minutes with Mr. Mohan, and he was taking me through the whole transport issue, and my goodness me, there's so many things that I'm interested about, but I'll tell you what we're going to be focusing on this evening, all right? Let's steer this ship correctly. We're going to be focusing on, and now seeing that we're writing our matric exams, we're going to be focusing on students who would like to take careers in the transport sector. So careers in transport as well as infrastructure, that's what we're going to be handling this evening. So if you're a grade 12, grade 11 student as well, in fact, those are two important grades. You'll find out why pretty soon. If you're one of those, please make sure that you don't tune in, because you're going to be losing out on quite a lot. And if you're a parent as well and you've got a grade 12 kid or a grade 11 kid, I'd like to invite you to be part of this show and call us in, ask questions or comment. We'll be very, very happy that you do that. The name is Karabolans. Like I said, I'm glad to be with you. Let's get the ball rolling. And Mr. Mohan, we're talking about road transport. Just give us a whole picture in terms of road transport in South Africa. What is it? What is it that we can understand about it?
Thank you, Karabo. I think let's talk about the road transport system.
Right.
Firstly, there's different components, and the key components are your infrastructure, which is your road as you would know it, your road user, your vehicle, the environment, those who administer the road network, and then your regulators, and then you have your service providers or your employees. Now, what is important is that the three key components are for when it comes to road traffic is your road user, your vehicle, and your road environment. And what is important now for those who are involved in the whole system, what type of skills we will need for us to be responsible for the management administration in the system. And these can be in professional skills, semi-skilled, and even labor. When it comes to the road infrastructure environment, your very important academic background that is civil engineering.
Right.
That's your base degree.
Okay. And is it starting from a degree level, or one can acquire certificates and so forth, or can one acquire your diplomas and the likes?
No. It's not just a degree. There's different career paths.
Right.
But what we're saying is the background that you want to establish is civil engineering.
Right.
But then later on there's specialization. But it's not the only key skill. There's a space for everybody.
Okay.
Right. And when it comes to civil engineering, it's the one that can open up doors for you in the sector.
Right.
And for those who want to specialize, for instance, there's structures, there's traffic and transportation, roads and materials, geotech, environmental. So the base degree or the base qualification is civil engineering, but it's not the only one.
All right.
There's other skills needed, which I can gradually take you through.
We're definitely going to do that. Let me just remind the listeners of that number again if they want to be part of this broadcast. It's 0800 314 446. And I just saw the lights flashing in our studio here, and that's a different number altogether. Perhaps you would like to write that number down that you don't forget it. I know a lot of people have mustered the Pretoria number. We're not going to be using the Pretoria number today. We're using the Cape Town number, which is 0800 314 446. 0800 314 446, toll free from a landline. We're going to be discussing as we go ahead the types of skills besides engineering that you can have, or that you should have rather, if you would like to be a part of or in the picture as far as road transport is concerned. And we're going to be exploring other issues that's got to do with routing of subjects when you're in high school and you're looking into going into your higher education space where you can even get funding. We're going to be talking about that as well, so I'm pretty excited. 0800 314 446. That's 0800 314 446. All right, let's talk rather, before we can even go to these skills, let's talk about the basic profile of the workforce, because a lot of people would like to find out about that. We're talking about professional skills and semi-skilled and labor and so forth. The basic profile that we're looking for in that area.
Karabo, before we continue, perhaps I should have just introduced who is the Department of Transport.
Maybe,
Yes.
let's do that.
Okay.
We've got more than enough time to do that.
Yes,
Let's do that.
all right.
Let's do that.
So the Department of Transport is one of various government departments. It's one of the primary departments, I would say, because it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
We are responsible more for policy, legislation, strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to implementation, we have agencies. So these are state-owned companies that are reporting to the Department of Transport. When it comes to your national road network,
Mm-hmm.
you have the South African National Roads Agency.
Right.
Then when it comes to traffic issues, the Road Traffic Management Corporation. Cross-border transportation issues, the Cross-Border Road Transport Agency. And then you have the Road Traffic Infringement Agency and the Road Accident Fund. So that's the transport family at a national space. And then you have at a provincial level departments of transport and at a municipal level.
That's where you got your MECs and so forth.
Yes.
Obviously, at national level, you've got your minister
Yeah.
that's heading the whole thing up, and you've got the DDGs and so forth. And it looks like we've got a call in the line, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take one caller quickly, and we'll get the ball rolling. And let me just check, who are we speaking to at the moment? Have we got a caller online? Good evening, caller. Who are you calling from? Where are you calling from, and what's your name?
Hello.
Hi, good evening. Who am I speaking to?
Ngiyaphila ukhuluma naSifikile kaNyamazane Community Radio.
Thank you so much, Sis Fikile. Kunjani sisam?
Ngiyaphila ngibingelela nababe lapho e-studio.
Siyabonga sis. Umbuzo wakho uthini?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Bengicela bengithanda kubonga ukuthi ekugcineni baze bafika lapho bakhuluma khona nge-world transport. Because uma sikhula sathi i-transport nebhangaze babalele igama lokuthi i-transport. Bala ukuthi siye sijwayele ukuthi khanjwa ngenyawo. Kanti esikhathini esiningi asikafundi kakhulu futhi sikuma-rural areas besingasenza ukuthi balethe something like i-summit whereby batokhona kufundisa i-youth again nebantwana besikolo around Mpumalanga whereby bathi bafundisa ongayo yonke le transport lekhona because kuba madinga umntwana moto mtshela ngabo submarine ngoba asinalwazi thina ngala eMpumalanga kuba madinga ukuthi achaze engalelo aphinde futhi ayibone ngale ndlela eMpumalanga ayinawo abantwana labaningi labathi nikela ukuthi bafuna ke nama-career abo ku-transport so ngiyacela ukuthi basilingisele for lokho ngiyabonga.
Ngiyabonga siswami. This is Fikile calling all the way from Kanyamazane in Mpumalanga. Let's go ahead and speak to Zakhele from Kanyamazane as well. Zakhele from Kanyamazane. Zakhele. All right, I think we. Yeah, I'm appealing for it. Zakhele, please, man, let's go for it, eh? All right, Zakhele. Good evening. What is your question? Zakhele. All right, let's put that. Let mfake bondeni, mfundo. 15 after 6, 0800 314 446. That's 0800 314 446. Zakhela, are you back? Okay, Zakhela is not there. All right, we're going to go ahead. Let's tackle Fikile. It's actually a comment more than a question, really. Which brings me to the base, or what I would like to call the foundation of where we're heading at, as far as this conversation this evening is concerned. The education or the mobilization that the department is doing in terms of educating kids at school. To what extent are you engaging children at school? And I'll be specific in this instance because Kanyamazane, for instance, a caller calling from there in Mpumalanga, it's partly rural, right? So to what extent are you engaging the students or the pupils in a high school as far as the transport sector as a whole?
Okay, as a transport sector, the department, in partnership with its agencies, we do engage with schools throughout the country. We have career awareness workshops, road safety workshops, where we go out and we provide information and guidance to the scholars.
Right.
And then we have road safety educational programs. And we focus a lot in the rural areas. When it comes to our SANRAL, our roads agency, all the communities and schools along the national routes.
Right.
We target all those schools with road safety educational programs and career awareness.
So definitely a place like Kanyamazana, you guys will be definitely going there, and perhaps you have been there in the past?
Yes, I'm sure we've been there, or we will be there. Yeah.
All right, 100%. That's an invite, by the way, also from Fikile all the way from Kanyamazane. Let's speak to Sibonele from KwaZulu-Natal. Sibonele, KZN.
Hello.
Sibonele kunjani?
Oh.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll see how I can shake that question around. But I think your example was more on the trains, and we're talking about road transport this evening. But nonetheless, it can be related to that. We've seen in the past where people are not satisfied with issues that's got to do with transportation, and there they go and burn infrastructure as a whole. Your word, perhaps, or your word of encouragement, maybe to help people to understand how important it is not to even take into action burning of infrastructure when it comes to road transport.
Oh yeah, very, very good point. Because who suffers more? The users. So if you know what's going on, tell us about it. That's the message we're giving out. Tell us who's burning those trains and who's destroying the infrastructure, because to replace the infrastructure is very expensive. We still have communities with very poor infrastructure or no infrastructure. So when you destroy our infrastructure, you are disadvantaging those communities that are still waiting for the infrastructure. So we don't encourage it, and we say at a community level, communities must mobilize and fight against it. I mean, not in a violent way, but stop it. Do what it needs to do to stop it through law enforcement, by reporting it and exposing those who are doing it. You need to protect your environment.
Right. 19 after 6, 0800 142, I beg your pardon, 0800 314 That's 0800 314 446. You've got a point that you need to make there quickly, yeah?
Karabo, I realized, you got to speak fast, and I'm a bit slow speaking.
No, that's okay. If you would like me to change gears, I will do that. Okay. No, don't worry about it. I can do that. I can make it feel like a midnight show, if you want, one of your graveyard kind of shifts,
One of the most important points about what we're doing at schools, I was still coming to, but then the next caller came.
Right, no problem. No problem at all.
We do have an academy where we try and help the students with their maths and science at schools.
Right.
And there's a lot of bursaries that we are giving out in partnership with our agencies.
Right.
So that's the most important part.
Well, that's something I'm looking forward to be discussing. In fact, just hold it like that. That's where I'm coming right now.
Yeah.
But here's Zakhele. He's back, and hopefully this time around he's going to be saying something on the radio. Good evening to you, Zakhele.
Hello, ngiyandingelela sanibonani.
Siyakubingelela nawe mfethu, ngiyajabula ukuthi manje sewuyakhuluma ngathi Zakhele ngikutholi lapho mfethu, kunjani?
Ngifisa kakhulu bengifisa bathi ama-campaign labawendile so far angakanani, and then ukwendela ama-campaign transport kufundisa abantwana for ama-careers basebenzisa indzawo letinjani ngoba kusho impumalanga yonke angiboni ukuthi bayihamba yonke.
Okay.
All the provinces.
All right. Okay, thanks, Zakhele. Thank you so much for your man calling all the way from Kanyamazane in Mpumalanga. We might not have, Zakhele, thank you so much. We might not have a definite figure. That's what Zakhele is looking for, by the way. He wants to find out how many campaigns have we done so far in Kanyamazane, because he feels like he's never seen the presence of the department there, which is something that I would like to find out from you. We might not have a figure in terms of 10 or 15 or 5 or whatever, but have you ran campaigns? Is there one or two that you can perhaps refer to?
Karabo, I will have to take his details and get back to him.
Absolutely.
On this one. Yeah.
Zakhele will do that. If there's campaigns that you would like to find out about as far as road transport is concerned in the Mpumalanga area, we'll definitely get back on you on that one. But let me give you one that I was involved in back in, I think it was 2 years ago, where back then the Minister of Transport, former Minister of Transport, Dipuo Peters, went to Bushbuck Ridge. And we had a transport in Bizo there where the minister was engaging with the residents of Bushbuck, and there were quite a lot of activities that were happening there. So, Zakhele, maybe parts of Kanyamazane, you've never seen us there, but let me tell you something, there is movement that's happening in the Mpumalanga area. But as far as some of the campaigns that we're running there, we'll definitely get back to you on that one there. 22 minutes after 6, 0800 314 446, 0800 314 446. Padco from Aliwal North. Good evening to you, Padco. Padco, Aliwal North. Patch him through, Mfundo. Kopo buele nandati kapila wena kai.
Hayi na kuyadumisa nondati kamuntu. Umbuzo wami oqala ngifuna uqonde ba singidata ethiwa kwi-Department of Transport, ne? Ezikukhi carriers ezikhoyo kwi-Department of Transport. Ngifuna uqonda ke ngokuba if ngine technical skill on my side, ne? And then ngiyakwazi ukuthi ngiqualify ngelisekhanganya indaba yokuba bajonge kakhulu kwicala lezi-engineering. And then umbuzo wami wesibini ngifuna uqonda ukuba kade offerisha i-bursaries ngeziphi subject kumele ukuthi no ujoyine the Department of Transport in order ukuthi nawe ube yi-surveyor for indlela, hence ewamenshina issue yokulungisa kwendlela nguSandral. Imibuzo yami emibini leyo Karabo, ngibulela kakhulu ngemamela kusakala nge-radio.
Ndiyabulela Mhlonishwa, Padco all the way from Aliwal North in the Eastern Cape, 23 after 6 o'clock. And it's good that he called in because he's launched us to exactly what we want to talk about. We want to talk about skills, yeah. We want to talk about bursaries that one can acquire as far as road transport, to be more specific. Remember last week we talked about aviation and we explored some of the subjects that one can take in high school in order to position themselves to acquire their pilot's licenses and so forth that we've discussed last week. This time around, we're talking about road transport, and Padco wants to find out what skills, and if he has additional skills, perhaps I just forgot to ask him what skills he has, but what skills overall that one need to have in terms of road transport, and what bursaries are there that one can apply for that can be awarded to one. But before we answer those questions, let me take one more caller, and this is Tato from Klerksdorp. Is it Tato? It's Tepo. I thought as much from Klerksdorp. Yeah, Tepo. Bua le nandati kumametse. Dumela Tshepo. Re tlotse re wena tlotse yang.
No re tlotse a gona molata.
Okay.
Re potso aka mantile ke go botsa pele ditšope di wela le tsone under tselo Department of Transport.
Josephine?
Dikepe.
All right, Dikepe, right, okay. Okay.
That's why what I was saying. I dwell under the Department of Transport.
Okay, let me just help you quickly. They do. They well under the Department of Transport, under the marine sector.
Yeah, then I give you a put to that bank because of what I was saying. That we are saying that's well under the marine sector. My question is brings Montunyari. The lessons that is dedicated to teach them meeting a mobile value mobile one. Because it's been a while, the lessons that is really temporary. What the only problem, I don't know. Because I know my neighbor on the state, I don't have community loan. But my license is really temporary, it's been a year now. You don't have a problem, go department, you have a problem, I say, come on, license. Problem is concerned house like a key.
All right.
That's the first question. And the other question is about what I was saying that I Tabaya, I did do that. Concern I come N12. If it's a much less open, we are 30 of Kimban. And I know a traffic cycle around one. I know some real maybe well under one, I don't know. So what traffic cycle in Portugal, how about our consult that tell the people before by some because what traffic cycle there in alone, because people they were not aware that traffic cycle. It is the fella today, but how about walk about something traffic cycle, it is traffic cycle in a month. But what about that was a serious because there were no consultation, even the people, the community around, around this traffic cycle. So many things we get and then how consult people why traffic cycle more and 12 on the national road. I think about consult before they said we just do things because of things.
All right, thank you so much. Tsepo from Klerksdorp, really appreciate your questions. There's two questions really that he asked, and one's got to do with the marine sector. I'm going to park that for now. So that we can give other people a chance. Let's respond to the ones that are relevant for this evening's broadcast, really. He says that on the N12 near Kimberley, there's a traffic circle which he believes is causing quite a lot of accidents. Now, this is what the question is. He says, as far as the infrastructure is concerned, where traffic circles are being decided, okay, we're going to put a traffic circle here, we're going to put stop signs here, or maybe traffic lights here and so forth. Is there consultation with the community in that specific area in terms of before those things are being put in place? For instance, the traffic circle that he's talking about. Does the department ever consult with the community?
Karebo, that's what we've now have in place. In fact, we've always had that in place, but it's more stronger now than more prevalent than before. Consultation and participation with communities. So for all projects that SANRAL is implementing, that's one of the 4 pillars of SANRAL strategy is community participation and engagements. So that before you implement projects, you have those consultations where everybody is informed of what is going to happen in the area, and there's inputs into the whole process before the projects are commissioned. So, to my knowledge,
as far as possible,
there is a reasonable amount of participation and information. But on this particular one, what we can do is we can follow up on that one.
All right.
We just need to get the exact details of this one.
100%.
Yeah.
It is just coming up to 6:30, and I'll tell you what we want to do, listeners. This is what I would like us to do, really. I would like us to focus on the careers that's got to do with the Department of Transport, more specifically in the roads sector, all right? The road transport department, really. Because I'll tell you one of the reasons why. Because our kids are now writing, and not that mine is writing matric, no, not yet, not yet. But so that we can give more information to those who would like to get into the transport sector and they're writing their exams now. There's something very interesting that my guest is going to talk about now as far as grade 12 is concerned and grade 9 and the preliminary exams that are being written in your grade 12. Very, very interesting. But to kick that ball rolling, really, let's start here. There's just a number of related roles as far as the expansion as far as the maintenance and the development of the road network is concerned. And this is where we're going to have our matriculants in the future coming into. And I'm talking about quite a number of them, and you can add, I mean, the ones that are coming at the top of my mind, really. Structural engineering, for instance. The other one is traffic and transport engineering. There's quite a number of them. Would you like to take us through those, Mr. Mohan?
Yes, earlier on I spoke about civil engineering, and then I said you start to specialize. So structural engineering, those are your designers
Right.
of your bridges and your roads.
Like we have the biggest one that I've seen recently, the most exciting one, really. Well, it's not the only one in South Africa, but the recent one, the one in Durban on the N2.
The Montaguecombe interchange.
What is it called again?
Montaguecombe interchange.
My goodness me, that thing, I promise you, I've circled around that thing twice, but it's excellent. So we've got people designing that, yeah?
Yes.
All right, tell us about it. Structural engineering, we've got bridges. What do we have as well?
Remember, Karabo, our users want to travel safely on our roads.
Mhm.
So your structure needs to be designed so that it is safe to carry all the traffic. And so your structural engineers are the ones who analyze all the loading requirements, and then they do the designs based on your loading requirements, so that when you build these structures, they will last
Right.
and it's safe to use.
Like loading, for instance, when you talk about loading in this, let's use the interchange. I'm not going to mention the name because I need to get used to it. Maybe I need to write it down first. Let's give that as an example. What's been taken into consideration? Would it be the volume of vehicles on that on that road at a given time?
Okay, your starting point is that your foundations, right? So that has to be designed to carry the entire structure and the traffic that's using the structure. Right? So the volumes is very important, but not just the volumes, the type of traffic that's on the road, because that will determine what is your loading conditions like.
Right.
Then the structure itself has weight. It has a mass.
Of course, itself, yeah.
So the foundations must be able to support the structure and the loads.
Yeah.
So that was being taken into account when the designers are designing what is the requirements in terms of the mass loading and the live loading. We call that the live loading, your traffic.
So that's one becoming a structural engineer, for instance, right? Let's explore the second one. I would like us to go through them one by one so we can just excite these kids as they're studying for their exams. Here's another one, traffic and transport engineering.
So this is very a good example of the project that we just spoke about now with the Montaguecombe interchange. This is a dream project for the traffic and transportation engineer in many ways, not just the structural engineer, because those are the guys who have to come up with a solution there, how to make the traffic free flow.
Right.
Previously, it was an interchange where you had to go up the op ramp. There's traffic signals, and then there's congestion building up. But now what they've done is they've made it free flow through modeling. So your transportation and traffic engineers, they come in there to find a solution on how to make this a free flow interchange so that there's no stops.
I've seen that actually, and I've seen it works very well. I mean, an example of that will be here in Gauteng in Pretoria, at Midland Park Shopping Centre, as you're traveling on Atterbury Road, heading towards the N1, into what I want to call the on and off ramp. In the past, you used to have that problem where there's congestion backing up all the way into Atterbury Road. But now through modeling, I see they've made what I want to call a loop where traffic flows. You don't stop anymore, but it flows coming into the highway and getting out of the highway as well, which is absolutely awesome, really. So that's one example of that. Road engineering, tell us about that.
Those are your materials engineering. Remember, the roads that you see, what we call it, the blacktop or the bitumen surfaced roads.
Is what they call the tar.
Yeah. So remember, those have to be also designed. You have to prepare the road and then put your layers in, and then the type of material that you're dealing with, they have to consider that. So that's where your material specialists come in.
Right.
They need to know what they're dealing with, so they design a road that will be safe and it can last for you.
That's very interesting. Back in the days, if you were traveling on the N1, and I know my colleague is a young star, he will never know about this. I'm talking about one of my colleagues from the media buying department. I'm not going to mention his name because he's here. Otherwise, I'm dead after this. But yeah, he's a young star. He'll never know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what we used to call the concrete highway. Sandile, you don't know the concrete highway in Fanagit. Windwana way now. What's next? All right, so that's a very good example because we used to go into the concrete itself, and when you're driving on the concrete highway, it used to feel like concrete on your car. The vibration used to be concrete, and you go to other parts and sort of smooth. So those variations, that's where the design comes in, as far as I can understand you. Sandila, we'll make a session. You and I will discuss that.
Your design is more the actual the structure from the base all the way up, the different layers. So that's where your roads materials engineer comes in.
Obviously, weather takes a role in terms of determining, to take account of the amount of rain, or is the area a high altitude area, all of that stuff. I mean, I spoke to one engineer and he was mentioning that, and it was mind blowing to me. And those things are thick, isn't it? I mean, the layers, the thick layers and multiple layers going into that. Let's go into the geotechnical engineering.
So remember, the geotechnical engineer, he deals with the ground. He's the one who's doing the analysis of your ground.
Right.
What type of geological situation is on the ground? Because you want to build something and all over the ground. But if your ground is not, if you don't know what you're building on top of, the structure can fail. So that's where your geotechnical engineer comes in. He analyzes the ground.
Right.
And especially when you're building big structures, you got to do piling sometimes, and, or they need to know what is the conditions. So they're the ones who do the testing on the ground.
All right. 23 minutes before 7 o'clock. Let's take a caller. I knew this was going to happen, and I did it intentionally just to excite the listeners. So here's a caller coming from Grabo in Cape Town, and this is Hlumisa. Hlumisa, good evening to you.
Hi, hello.
Hi, this is Hlumisa.
Hi, Karabo. Hi, how are you? I'm good, thank you.
Tetanam.
I'm listening from Elgin FM, radio station, a community radio station, yes. My question, but firstly, let me compliment. Thank you so much, guys, for giving our kids, the career to choose. Because sometimes in an area like the rural areas, they don't know what to do. They're writing now exams. They really don't know, things like that, bursaries and stuff like that. So that's a compliment first. But my question, I'll take you out from the career part. I would just want to find out regarding with the crossing of the national road. I know you've been the Department of Transport, they're doing a lot of putting the bridges, so that people don't cross the road. But it's not enough, because there's still a lot of road accidents on the national roads. People, they just cross. I know there in Grabo, there's on N2, the national road. People, they just cross from inside the area in Grabo, and there's a lot of accidents. So that's my question. And my second question is about the traffic lights. The traffic lights. I'm not sure if it's a relevant question.
Okay, what about them?
Traffic lights. There's roads that there are roads that really need traffic lights. There's a lot of accidents that are happening. I can mention one in Khayelitsha. There's a road called Spine Road. It's an off-ramp from the national road, and that road, it's been a lot of accidents that are happening there, but there's nothing that it is happening from the government.
Is it the one that's coming off the N2?
Yes, that's off-ramp. It's Spine Road going inside Khayelitsha.
Yeah, born here.
From the national road.
Yeah, born here, yes.
Yeah, so what do government do about that?
All right.
Really, it's been years, there's no traffic lights, and we, as drivers, we're asking ourselves, but what is government doing about this? Because there's a lot of accidents that are happening.
All right. Okay, 100%. Sis Lumisa, thank you so much for your time. See.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, 20 minutes before 7, 0800 142, I beg your pardon, 0800 314 446, 0800 314 446. Let's chat to Tabo from ZB. Tabo?
ke le kwa botse ka
Rona le kae?
rona le le ka ya mongwe
Awa nke go na le se sengwe nke be re le boditše.
le se le na le ntate ke moya ne mohana
Mohane, o le tšeleditše.
ina mile rena re kwa le bolla ka di-career mo di-road transport system sa le ke gola go na le seporo mo sebitiela ba ra wa kgalejana be se bere ka go transporta tsona di-orange lo ke gore ba re bo go na le kgwebo jale se kgweletse seporo sela bana ba gona ba netse go na le seporo ebile ba isupa gore ke tsela ke seporong ke a kae ka seporong fela ba sanga ba bona terene ba tsopela tlhotlheletso ya gore ba kwetse ba tsene le tsona tseo tsa di-career ya go ba baotledi ba diterene ba re go na le seporo mara ba sanka ra bona terene ke bona ke nngwe tlhotlheletso ile ka be thusa ka go dira ka le sengwe seswai mmuso tabo o ya go rapelela batho ba le ba N1 napile mo le gore ba dirile kotsi tselela yona ba tla ba diang ka yona ya go fetsa batho ya go tloga transport go ya mokopane e fetsa batho go ile ke ka beke mo kgweding ya gone re se go diragala kotsi yona ke kere mohlomong ba ka e tshwara ganyane ba re botse gore masimo ga jang mara career e botlhokwa e ngwana ka tseba terene a sa le gona mo gae mohlomong a ka latela yona e ya di-railway e le gore ka jale ba ne o tshela seporo mara a sanka ba bona terene.
All right. Thank you so much, Tabo from Zebediel. I'll take the last caller, and this is Mahanda, if I'm not mistaken. Mahanda from Venda. Mahanda?
Hello?
Inda?
Uri?
Ndi hona ndi butsangeo.
Yeah,
You see, that's all the vendor gave you for this evening, Mahanda, and I knew you were going to pull that on me. I'm learning vendor though, yeah. Let's do that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but you must learn because it's one of the language.
Absolutely, I'm learning. That's why I could greet you. That's why I could greet you into Venda. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, ke go tiba mo we uri ni ka taba ya mo N1. Hey, una le buthata go ka ore batho ba loka life mo we. So I want to see the guys I'm on now, at least he'll do that accident.
All right. N1 are you o referra mo ya yone re fetsa go bolela ka yona ya Mokopane?
Oh
ke yona section e la Mokopane ke re le bolelang ka yona?
Yeah, ke yona e batho ba loka
ba fela
ba fela and
yeah.
If mtha a tsamaya mo le fasing a bua ke
of course, yeah. Yeah.
So, go to work. If you cut out or at least reduce that thing.
All right. Okay. Mahanda roleboa. Roleboa. Oh, okay.
Grade 10, grade 11. So, go to work. Or maybe a kgone go mana mobereko mo transport o tshwanetse re abe a na le qualification
okay mmereko mo bjang
le yona accommodator people who are totally blind people or people who are visually impaired.
All right. Mmereko mo bjang o bolelang ka ona o re motho a ka ba na le interest mo ona kere transport na le mafapha mantši a kere so wena bo bolela ka efeng e le gore mmereko mo transport e ka no ba ile mmereko wa ditsela ka gore a kere tšatši le go no re bolela ka ditsela
ke kwa bodimo le bolela ka ditsela and ke bona ka re we e favora batho ba at least bo ba le pai so ke go tsebo re o motho a sena sight a sa kgone go bona yana o suitable na o ra ka bereke mo dina.
All right.
If I listen to Bolo, Kimberley, a guy.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Maham. In Chifenda, we're saying Rolabo, all right? Okay, he's gone. 16 before 7, 0800 142 446. Let's start with him so we can walk our way back to Rumisa, who gave us a call at first. Here's one that I would like us to follow up, and before we run out of time, really. Mahanda felt like the careers we spoke about so far are more into the engineering part of things. And he says, listen, I'm worried a little bit. What if I don't have maths and science? Is there a place for me? Is there a home for me in the Department of Transport, especially the roads sector?
Thank you for that question. Remember I said earlier, you have to talk fast here because you run out of time. So we started off with civil engineering, and we said besides engineering, there's a lot of skills.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's not just about careers at the Department of Transport. We're saying it's in the transport industry and family.
Right.
Now, if you don't have maths and science, it's not the end of the world. What message I wanted to give today, I thought we were talking careers, and it's important we look at those who are still at school
Mm-hmm.
and those who are out of school and in the tertiary spectrum, right? So I'm glad that he mentioned he doesn't have maths and science, and he wants to know what opportunities are there. So there's many of those like that. So there's administration, there's communication, there's financial, there's artisan, there's driving, there's operating of those plant and machines, there's health, safety, traffic law enforcement. These are all the ones that you don't generally need the maths and science on. And you can see there's a long list we can talk about.
Let's take one or two that are common, if you may, and maybe give an example to each. For instance, you've mentioned that in the communication sector, there could be a place for you. Where? What can I do as far as communication is concerned in the transport family?
Okay, earlier on we had a caller who mentioned that do we communicate with the communities and stakeholders when we come and build?
There we go, yeah.
And I mentioned to you that at Sandrail now, one of the key focus area is on stakeholder engagement and communication.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a team there. So you see there is potential opportunities, and other departments are following the same route because
Mm-hmm.
the same complaint comes.
Mm-hmm.
You come, you build a hospital, you build some facility, but we don't know about it. So communication is very important. So there is it's a big career. In fact, if I were to advise you, you can make more money in communication industry than engineering industry.
Oh yeah, I'm in the right place then.
Yeah.
All right. Let me pick this one. Let me take this one from the list. It's the plant and machine operators.
So those plant and machine operators. They're the ones who operate those machines that you see on the construction sites. Now
The ones with flashing lights and all of this. Yeah.
Yes,
the
excavators.
Oh, yeah.
To your compacting equipment.
Wow. Yeah.
And not just those large the small plant as well.
Mm-hmm.
They all need to be operated
By somebody. Yeah.
And it's what we call the semi-skilled profession. It is a skilled profession, and believe me, there's a shortage in that space.
Is there?
Yep, there's a shortage, and they pay well. They do pay well in that industry.
All right. Should I draft my resignation now? No, I'm just joking. Let's not do it now. All right. Here's another one quickly before we go to another caller that's standing by. And I believe it's an important one, really. Governance and administration.
Oh, it's a very, very important one, because at the end of the day, what you want is efficiency in the government environment. And if you don't have strong governance and administration, inefficiency creeps in.
Mm.
So those are the people that are making decisions, and their decisions affect all of us.
Right.
Because if there's inefficiency, more money is being spent on
Right.
something that shouldn't have been so expensive. So those are the ones who need to. They can study like public administration,
Right.
local government studies, your administration,
Supply chain management and
yes,
so forth.
all those are the ones who don't get a lot of credit for what's going on, you know.
Right.
But it's a very, very, very important skill, you know. Yeah.
Right, 11 before 7, 0800 314 446. That's 0800 314 446. I told you we're going to track back. Let's go to Thabo, calling from Zebediela, and he mentioned something about a rail track that's in the Zebediela. Let's not focus on that for now, Thabo. I'm not putting your question away, really. But seeing time, I would like to focus on road infrastructure. But however, Thabo, I can deal with your one that's got to do with the N1 accidents that we've seen in the recent couple of weeks, really. What's the department saying with regards to that? I mean, has it got to do... Well, we don't know what the cause is. We don't know whether it's human error. We don't know whether it's infrastructure. But does the department look into that in terms of, but why is this specific area having so many accidents? And what's the response to that? How do they react to this one area, which is Mokopane in this instance? I've just had two callers mentioning the same area, which is Mokopane. How are we responding to that type of thing?
We've asked SANRAL to look at that section of road.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, we do have a monitoring system on our national road network. We identify hotspots, and then we do what we call road infrastructure safety audits, and then we determine what is an appropriate solution to mitigate accidents, and we implement. So that particular area, and a lot of the areas, the first thing we need to understand is what are the leading causes of accidents? It's human error. Of course, infrastructure is a contributor, but it's not the significant contributor.
Mostly
Number one is human error. When we talk of human error, we look at 4 areas, right? We look at pedestrians. A lot of pedestrians are dying on our road. A lot of them are not visible.
Yeah.
So one of the things we try to address is visibility. We give out these bands they can use, and so that they can have something that's reflective.
Especially at night, yeah.
Yes. But then that's where the road safety education comes in, because a lot of the commuters, they're not supposed to be where they are at that time of things like that. So the road safety awareness, we ask them, we have programs. We actually go to Shebeens.
Oh, yeah?
We say to them, listen, stay over. Don't go home. It's not safe for you to go. Unless there's no one to take you, just stay over. Because when you go onto the road, you're not just a risk for yourself, you're a risk to other road users.
All right.
The other issue is about drinking and driving.
Oh, yeah.
And speed. So all those 4, they belong into the category of human error. And that's where the bulk of the problems lie with road accidents. Your actual infrastructure itself, even that area in Mokopane, that's an area where it's a very good road. It's dual carriageway, meaning you can...
Yeah.
And it's 2 lanes.
Right, in both sides.
Both sides of that area. The big problem we have there is with speeding in that area. So the intervention that we need to be looking at is how to manage speeding. We may need to look at separating.
Like a barrier.
Yes, something like that.
Right.
That could help a bit. But of course...
But mostly it was speed that we've picked up in that area.
Yes,
the reports are showing, yeah.
And in the one case, it was I think it was a defective tire that burst.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yes, so that's another problem. Besides your human error, your condition of the vehicles.
Oh, yeah.
That is why we're very unpopular about this. You'll see all these roadblocks.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to make sure that we have safe vehicles on the road, yeah.
All right. Before we go to your question, Hlumis, I'm coming to it now. Don't despair. I'm coming to your question right now. Let me take Sfundo from KZN. And Fundo must have been very delighted to pick up your call because the names are almost the same. Sfundo from KZN. Sfundo? Sabona mfowethu.
Uyaphila mfowethu.
Andikrende mfowethu wena.
Ngibingelela umhlonishwa uthe ubani igama nasibonga umhlonishwa oseyinayo lapho.
Ubaba nginaye namhlanje uPrasanth Mohan, ubaba Mohan.
Okay, kulungile. Ngifuna ukuthola la ngeza ukukhulunywa nge-transport. Into engifuna ukuyithola kunezinto ezidala ingozi. Angifuni ukukhuluma ngezinto ezithinta ikhela ngikhuluma nawe ngilalela uSiyathuthuka FM la eNdwede ngokusebenza ngisebenzela la eNdwede kodwa ekhaya kuKwaNongoma khona la kwaZulu Natal. Selokhu ngakhula umgwaqo osedolobheni kwaNongoma uwodwa awunawo amarobhothi and iy'ngozi ziyadaleka. Mhlawumbe i-department ingabe inalo yini ulwazi ngento enjengaleyo yenza njani because it's been over 30 years njengamanje mangithi selokhu ngakhula akaze ngibone irobhothi umgwaqo uyi-one. Mhlawumbe ikhona into enyenzayo noma mhlawumbe i-department i-aware ngento enjalo egcina idala ingozi.
Ngiyabonga mfethu, ngiyabonga Sifundo. Siyabonga Siyathuthuka Community Radio for taking our feed this evening. In fact, Sifundo's question relates to the one of Hlumisa, so I'm going to put the two together. Sifundo is worried about a road in Nongoma, in the Nongoma area in KwaZulu-Natal. He says it's quite a lot of fatalities on that road, and simply because there are no traffic lights to regulate the intersection of the actual main road and the joining side roads in that area there. Which brings me to Hlumisa's question where she says there's an off-ramp on the N2 coming from Cape Town heading towards the, you can say, your Belleville area. There's an off-ramp by Khayelitsha that does not have traffic lights at the end of that off-ramp. So the two really, in terms of putting that infrastructure, and we have citizens that are worried like these two are, what is it that they can do to mobilize the department and to make them aware that perhaps there's a necessity of putting that infrastructure in those roads and in many other roads perhaps in the country? Is there anything that could be done from the citizens' side?
Well, from time to time, it's quite often actually, we get complaints. What we do is we track down, okay, where is the local municipality in that area? Whether we try to identify whether firstly it's a national road, a provincial road, or a municipal road. Mm-hmm. So when you come to the Department of Transport, we do that exercise, and then we go and engage with the relevant road authority to actually to look into the situation and see what can be done. So if it wasn't picked up before, because they bring it to us, we alert them, and then we do follow up with them to see what interventions they are doing. In some cases, you find it's a shared responsibility, so it's easier for us when it's a shared responsibility, because SANRAL can step in and help out there. And then also when it's a provincial and municipal shared responsibility, the province can step in and to help out. In terms of with the provinces, what we do is we have a grant for road maintenance, which the department gives to all provinces. Mm-hmm. So ideally, before the start of the financial year, we go through the process where they identify where all the maintenance needs are and interventions are required, so that's the projects we're interested in funding.
And obviously the identification process will include complaints from the community.
Yes, so we hand that to the province. So when they're submitting the new list for the new financial year, we try and prioritize those maintenance needs.
All right.
Yeah. So that's how the department does help out directly to the agents. Of course, it's ultimately the responsible roads authority,
right,
to ensure that the infrastructure is safe and fit for purpose for use. Yeah.
All right. We've got about 7 minutes to go, and what I would like to do at this present moment is to do something that you were very, very passionate about when you and I spoke earlier, and it's the issue of setting the path right when you're in school. And we've had an in-depth discussion, you and I, about it. Let's talk about getting to know your profile as a student who will be finishing matric or who is in high school at the moment, looking into the future. Tell us more about how to determine your career, what you want to study in relation to what you want to do in the future.
Thank you. That's, as you said, my most important point that a message I wanted to give to the youth out there is I would say it's very important to get to know yourself.
Right.
Because the world, it's a big world out there. There's a lot of opportunity. The big issue we had was, firstly, especially in our times and even now, we were disadvantaged. The world has opened up. Government has played its role to open up that space. Now, the most important thing is you need to connect to something. So you need to keep yourself informed. Firstly, get yourself, profiled. The schools do this. They can advise you what is the best suitable, choices that you can narrow down to. Like, for instance, the colleague that phoned earlier on, he mentioned he doesn't have maths and science.
Right.
Now, it doesn't mean to say it's the end of the world. So you got to get to know yourself, and then you need to make a determination and come to terms with what is my capabilities versus my aspirations. It's very important that you understand that point, because you find that a lot of our youngsters go to universities because they believe the university is the all in all. And then when they get to university, there's a very high dropout rate. So it's very important, start off with choosing the right subjects at school that you're going to cope with. And then do your best. Read. And you must work hard and you must work consistently. Right? So that's a very important message I would like to give to that group in school. And then those who are now already out of school and they're already studying, right? Then the next question on their mind is, where am I going to work, or what do I do? So they also need to read, and also get into the websites of the different organizations. Go to the libraries at the universities or the FETs or the Technicons and see what is there. Look at the newspapers, because you now, the big world is different from school and universities, because you'll find what you study and what you do out there is different.
Yeah.
So that you must get to understand that if you did civil engineering, you might find you're a financial analyst. It's nothing to do with civil engineering, but that's where you found yourself. So the important thing is understanding and getting to terms with your capability versus your aspirations. Take guidance from your schools and your elders, and work hard. And then very important is that you always need to be networking. I think the youth are very good at that. When we were young, we were not very good at networking. Networking is very important. Get to know and get to find out as much as information as possible. What is motivating you? That is important. Why do you want to follow a certain path? Is it because of a tradition, or is it because of information you found out about?
Be true to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, the risk you're trying to manage is you don't want to fail. You want to succeed all the way. Because when you fail, you lose time.
Right.
Depends on, if you make the wrong decisions, you lose time. Now, if you get yourself profiled properly at school and take the guidance and study and work towards that, you don't lose that time.
Right. Let's talk about routing, for instance. And a lot of people are talking about universities, but there's one or two avenues in terms of routes that one can take that are outside university. You want to share those with us?
Yes, you've got your Technicons, or nowadays they call you University of Technology.
Right.
Your FETs, your artisan trade route, even government and industry offer training.
CETAs and so forth.
Yes, yeah. So once you narrow down what type of studies you want to do,
right,
you need to now figure out or determine what route are you going to follow.
Right.
Like, for instance, myself, I went to the Technicon route, and my colleagues went to the university route. They obviously climbed up faster than me, but eventually we all got to the same place. Right. So it took them faster and it took me longer, but it's not the end of the world. The most important thing here is that what you must remember nowadays, your biggest challenge is not the funding. Your biggest challenge is, where will I get a place?
And why are you saying that?
Because if you look at the interventions by government currently, there's free education for those who are within a certain income bracket, their parents. So that means a lot of people who were disadvantaged, the bulk of the people were disadvantaged because of finances, right? So the numbers have suddenly increased, that there's more people now who want to study than there's institutions that can accommodate them.
Right.
So your number one problem is not the money anymore. The number one problem is do I get a place? Now, if you're aspiring to go to university, you don't get your place, then you have to look at the alternatives. Then, besides the alternatives being your University of Technologies, your FETs, you can also choose between part-time studies and full-time
Yeah.
studies. And then there's logistics issues. Depends on where you want to study and where you get a place to study. Now you have to determine where am I going to stay and who's going to cook for me, who's going to do my laundry. So you might find that
Do the laundry yourself, my mom would have said.
okay,
Yeah.
that's
But obviously logistics play a
yeah,
very vital
it's
role in
it's a
terms of...
very vital role because it'll determine how well you will cope in the environment.
Right. Now, before we wrap up, I see we're out of time now. We've just got a couple of seconds, really. There's something absolutely profound that you've said to me earlier when you and I were talking, and this has got to do with certain examinations and the importance thereof. For instance, you've mentioned in grade 9 that your application, that's where you start applying, and you've explained it to me, really. Can you explain that to the listeners in terms of getting them focused, especially at this time of the year?
Okay, thank you for that question. I had forgotten about it. And so what I was telling a colleague here, Karabo, is that it is more important for you to get a good result in your grade 11 because that's the results that are being used to get a place at the tertiary institution to secure your bursaries. Now, a lot of the students, their biggest stress is your matric exams.
Yeah.
Right, and then
Yeah.
they end up not doing well.
Yeah.
But the decisions are more or less taken based on your grade 11 exams.
Okay.
So the universities, your either your FETs and things like that, they already provisionally accept you based on those results.
Yeah.
Now that's a tick in the box because you've got your place.
Great. Okay.
So you should be stressing more about your grade 11 exams, not your matric exams.
Okay.
That's, of course, for those in another space, right, where the results, the quality of results are dependent, are very important. Then, like for instance, you might get a scholarship at a university, and then it comes with accommodation and everything else, and the condition is you must have 85% in metric.
Right.
Right. So that group, it's very important.
Okay.
But the bulk of the persons,
Mm-hmm.
the decisions are taken on your grade 11 results.
Yeah. You
Now-
nearly said standard 9.
Yeah. Somebody-
You and I coming from the same WhatsApp group, let me
There-
tell you.
There are those who might feel that I'm giving you the wrong advice, but
It makes sense to me.
I don't believe so. Yeah.
Just to clear that aspect of those people that are
Yeah.
thinking you're giving the wrong advice.
Yeah.
Here's one thing that you've mentioned, just quickly, let me remind you so you can explain it to the listeners as well.
Yeah.
You said to me, have you ever thought about it? When bursaries are issued out, mostly it's before the matric results are out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because they used your grade 11 results to make decisions.
Uh-huh.
So you are waiting for your results. In the meantime, you've already got your letter that you got placed at the
Yeah.
tertiary institution. You got a letter that you've got your bursaries. So now the most important thing is just to get a good result at the university. But the time and energy you need to focus on is your grade 11 results.
In fact, if you do well there, chances are you'll do well in your final
Yeah.
exams, the matric, yeah.
Come to think about it, if you look at myself, when I finished many, many years ago, I had my place at the university provisionally. I had my bursary secured provisionally. When I passed, I didn't have any A's. There was no issues
Yeah.
because I had good enough results to get there anyways. At that time, they had the minimum points,
Right.
but it didn't need to be A's. But it was good enough to be there. So that's what you need. Your results need to be good enough to make the entrance requirements.
Right.
Right. And then, but to secure your place and your bursaries, your grade 11 results is what you need to focus on.
He's talking about grade 11. Now, we come from a school of thought where we used to call it standard 9. Yeah. If you want to take it a bit back, I'll do that. We used to call it Form 4. Right, 9 minutes after 7 o'clock. That was my guest this evening, acting DDG, coming from the Department of Transport. We're focusing on road transport. Lastly, there's one thing that you would like to mention before we say goodbye. Go for it quickly.
Why should you specialize? Firstly, because there's money there. Secondly, it could be for personal reasons. There's a demand for specialists, and there's a lot of opportunities. So when you choose a career, right, you must go all the way. That's the message I'm saying.
Right.
If you think a degree or whatever is good enough, no, go further. Go to the high. If you do something, do your best and go all the way. So that what your end goal is, you want to become a specialist. Because when you become a specialist, there's no question of unemployment for you.
Right. Everybody, what they call head hunting.
Yeah.
People head hunt you. Thank you so much. That's the voice of Mr. Prasanth Mohan, the acting DDG coming from the Department of Transport, focusing more on road transport. Thank you so much for your time, sir. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here.
We've come to the end of it, and let me say thank you so much to my producer all the way from Cape Town, Ubabu Tata. Mfundo Makaba. Thank you so much, Mfundo, for the wonderful work that you've done. You want to put your mic on and say hi to the listeners and bye to the listeners very quickly, Mfundo, if you can. Mfundo?
Yes, my brother.
Thank you so much, Dad.
Thank you so much, brother.
Hey, tada. That's Mfundo Makaba. That's the voice of Mfundo Makaba all the way from Cape Town. Really, thank you. And Nobubel, Lucis Nobubel is handling all our video communication this evening. Did I just call it video communication? But ratadilo. We ratadilo, man. Putting terms that are not the video communication. What is that? What is that? No, Prasem, no, ratadilo, man. Handling video aspects of things here in the studio, and you can find this on our government website, government YouTube site rather, Government ZA on YouTube. You can find this episode of the Department of Transport. Nobubele, thank you so much, Sisam. Really appreciate it. And somebody that's putting all of this together, making sure that everything happens the way it needs to happen, on the day it needs to happen, on the time that it needs to happen. Coming from the Department of Transport. I thank you so much, sir. From myself, Karabalansa, let's meet again next week. Same place, same time. Ciao for now.
Okay, thank you.